let's now go on to my lovely, lovely Aquarians. All right, Aquarius. All right, Aquarius. So, starting off Aquarius risings, on Mars 5th, we have a couple of things going on here. We have Mars going into Taurus. Now, Mars rules your 10th house as well as your 3rd house. And so your 10th house of your public image, of publishing, of social media, of your face to the world there, how you come across the rest of the world, your all that kind of like fame related stuff. In your 3rd house of communication, of short distance travel, siblings, neighbors, the millions of things that it's a part of. 3rd house is annoying, and it's going into your detriment. It's going into detriment in Taurus in your 4th house of your 4th house of home, family, living situations, all that kind of stuff there. And so you're gonna have some issues with career and schedule in relation to your home. So it's gonna be kind of like maybe you have home stuff going on, and it's not really working out with your career. It's not like really working out with your other schedule. There's gonna be some issues there. Okay. There's also going to be conflicts in terms of the home. If you have roommates, you live with your partner, etc., or family, you could be having some more conflict and fights in that kind of area, and you could be a little bit more exhausted and feel less motivation in pushing forward with career things. And then we also have Mercury going into Cancer that same day, and Mercury rules your 8th house as well as your 5th house. So 8th house of debts, of death, of things you owe to other people and other people's resources, and 5th house of pleasure, of sex, of joy, also of your vices and creativity and children. It's going into your 6th house of day-to-day routines, of day-to-day work, ill health, etc. And so there's going to be more of a nurturing energy as it moves into Cancer here, nurturing and protecting your health, nurturing and protecting a more fun situation in your life. Like, what do you need to do, what do you need to take care of in terms of 8th house debts and things you owe to have more fun. On the 13th, you have the full moon in Capricorn. So go back to that Venus, or actually, you know what, before we move forward, no, it's just gone, actually. I don't think to say anything else about that. So yeah, full moon in Capricorn on the 13th, we have the Venus retrograding in your 12th. Go back to, oh my god, I'm saying this all backwards. I threw myself off because I wanted to talk about the last time that Mars was in Taurus. Last time it moved into Taurus was the January 6th, right? So I always think that that's a really good example of, like, they went there with some plan with Mars and Aries to overthrow the government and kill people. They got there, and did they do that? Not really. None of that stuff really happened because, you know, they lost the momentum, they lost the energy, they lost the fire of Mars and Aries. And like, it's, if you don't continue on the momentum, it's going to be a half-ass approach. It's not going to happen. That's just another way to look at that as well. More frustrating, stubborn energy of like, I'm going to do this, but I'm not going to do it as well. And it's like, just don't do it then. But full moon in Capricorn on the 13th. So yes, think back to that Venus retrograde that we had in Capricorn, as well as the new moon in Capricorn at the end of 2021, beginning of 2022. That was, again, that was a retrograde in your 12th house. That's rough, okay? And we're going to go back to that kind of energy with this full moon in Capricorn. It's like brings up alienation of your fears. It brings up all this kind of like fear-based energy here and self-sabotage. So there's probably a lot of self-sabotage that you were engaging in at this time. And where are your needs not being met? It's going to be a huge thing of that Capricorn Cancer axis. So in terms of, you know, what we need to deal with in that 12th house realm, what is a necessity to deal with at this time? What do we need to be doing? What should we be doing to take care of these areas, to face these darker things within us, these self-sabotage moments, these enemies, even being our own enemy? So that's kind of what's going on there with the full moon in Capricorn. On the 16th, we have the Mercury Cazimi, and Mercury is your 8th house of death, debt, and other people's resources, inheritance, etc. And your 5th house ruler of pleasure, of joy, of children, of creativity, is what Mercury is ruling for you guys. And it's going to be combust in the 6th house of Cancer there, of day-to-day, of ill health, of work, day-to-day kind of stuff like schedules, and day-to-day health. And there's going to be a moment of real intense clarity with the Mercury Cazimi there. If you've had any issues trying to figure something out, or like why something hasn't been working, why you haven't been feeling good, whatever that might be, why you haven't been enjoying something, you're going to have like a moment of clarity around that in terms of what you need to take care of and address with these work health things. On the 18th, we have Venus entering Cancer, and Venus rules your 9th house of spirituality, of beliefs, higher education, occult, and the 4th house of home, family, living situation. And it's going into your 6th house again with Cancer. So there's going to be more home and spirituality focused in terms of your surrounding, like, you know, where you live, etc. And how can we feel better here? What do we need to take care of ourselves? And it's going to be a real moment of like, you guys need to take care of your body, of your health, and of your home situation. Like, you need to feel better here. So make sure to make time when Venus enters Cancer there. Mercury goes into Leo there, and as we know, Mercury rules your 8th and your 5th house, and it's moving into your 7th house there of relationships. So we're going to be a lot more focused on relationships, on the visibility of them within Leo, like on how they make us feel, on our pride and our ego attached to these relationships, etc. And yeah, so that's going to be really happening there when Mercury moves into Leo. And then we have the new moon in Leo on the 29th. A couple of things on the 29th. So again, that's a 7th house new moon. Shift towards relationship and other people is where you're going to be like shifting towards there, and a lot more focus on like a specific individual maybe that you're in a relationship with, like getting to know somebody. There's a real like reset in terms of the energy and, you know, what we're looking for, what we're going to be doing moving forward in terms of relationships there. On that same day, we have Jupiter retrograding in Aries, and Jupiter rules your 11th house as well as your 2nd house. So your 11th house of friends, communities, and your 2nd house of money, resources, work. And it's going to be, and it's been in your 3rd house in Aries. So there's been a lot of expansion in your identity and in terms of communication and all that 3rd house stuff, which is like too much to get into because there's so much of it. But there's gonna you're gonna kind of lose the faith there. You're gonna lose your belief in yourself, and you're going to need to be continue to be more proactive within friend groups, within communication with them as well, 3rd house stuff, to really maintain what you got, okay? Like what you've been building upon, you have to maintain that. All right, so that is astrology for Aquarius risings for the month of July. Now we're going to look at the tarot for Aquarius, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus. What deck do I want to use for you guys? Can I use the Hobbit deck? We're going to do that. Why not? Okay. So, alrighty. Aquarius, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus for July 2022. What do we got going on here for you, okay? What's going to be happening this month for you? Cool. Alright, not bad. Okay, that's interesting. Alright, we're going to talk in a second. Don't worry, guys. Alright, so beginning of the month, you might have some new ideas. You also might have some new travel ideas or things that you are doing in this realm. I just like you have like this really creative streak of like, I have something to say, I have something to do, I have something to create here, and I'm going for it. I'm doing that. I'm making this happen. So for those of you who like work in social media or do things like that, I just feel like you're going to be a lot more focused there. You're going to be enjoying it, communicating. Like, you're making things happen and making things move. When the Knight of Wands is up here, like, I always feel like he's starting things. I mean, this is Bilbo after he's taken the Arkenstone, which we all know what happens after he takes the Arkenstone, if you know The Hobbit. So we're using the Hobbit Tarot here as well, if I did not mention that, guys. But he starts a whole chain of events. A whole ass chain of events. So it's like, what you are beginning, it feels like now at the beginning of the month, is going to start a lot of event. So keep this momentum, well, especially while we still have Mars and Aries before the 5th. Okay? And in terms of work, in terms of career and stuff like that, 6 of Coins, 4 of Coins, and 5 of Swords reversed. We got 6 of Coins upright. I feel very much like we're doing what we got to do. We're, putting in the time, getting the money back, whatever it is. For some of you, it could also indicate that you need to ask for more money. You need to ask for a little bit of help with money here. There is like some 8th house stuff going on, so like we do need to kind of, remember to like pay our debts, to like pay our bills, to ask for help where we might need it as well. With that 6 of Coins upright. But 4 of Coins reverse and 5 of Swords reverse is like this need, let go of old past issues in terms like of, if you're holding on to a career, like an issue in terms of like a workplace issue or something like that, like let it go. It's just like, let it go. Okay, move on from it. It does not benefit you to hold on to this situation anymore. However, if you guys are in a career where you're holding on to this career and it's like, it feels like a losing battle, like you're not making money, nothing is happening, it's time to let that go and really look at why you're holding on to it so deeply with the 4 of Coins reverse and the 5 of Swords there reverse. It's like, this seems like a losing battle that you need to let go of, and it's a very much like, it's almost like you gracefully need to let some aspect of something that you've been doing go, and that's okay. I think it'll really benefit you, and also it'll help you to bring more fun in. It also could be more that you're collaborating with people that you like to collaborate with in terms of work, like, or friends. If you've been thinking you want to collaborate and work with other people, or, make friends with other people at work and work with them more, this is a great time to do so. I also just feel like there's a lot more communication in terms of friends. Like, you could hear from other people, or if you've been wanting to reach out to somebody, like as a friend, like that you haven't heard from in a while, that you like to work with, etc., now is the time to do so. And you could also be hearing, again, it could be a back and forth thing, like they could be reaching out to you, you could be reaching out to them. But regardless, like, you guys are communicating and coming together, and it feels like, there is like this communication of like, I have an idea, and like, so do you, and like, maybe we could work together here. So I feel like there's like there's new growth in terms of work. There's like new avenues, like, especially if we're willing to let go of what is no longer like a winning battle for us, like something like, yeah. And it could bring up fears about like, can we do this? Like, do I believe in myself? Do you like am I doing the right thing here? Like, am I able to do this? Like, are people looking at me the wrong way? It's like there's a lot of fear-based energy that is coming up around like you giving up something and letting something go. But that's okay, because you know what? There's a lot, like, look at this. Like, there's strength there, and also like you're making room to do something that will be a lot more profitable and will have the staying power. Because Ace of Coins is a foundation that you can build upon. So whatever this new idea is, like maybe cooking up with somebody else, like pay attention to that. Like, that seems a lot more profitable than where you're coming from and what you're letting go of. All right, and in terms of love and romance, we gotta talk about this. This is awkward. 5 of Coins, King of Cups. I feel like there is an emotional disconnect here. It feels like emotionally, like we're looking. It's almost like if you're with somebody and you've been with somebody for a while, you're not like recognizing their emotional maturity. Like, there's like seems to be a gap here, like in terms of you guys connecting emotionally. It could also be that they're coming off as like less emotionally clear, less emotionally available, also less emotionally mature. And that could be really stressing you out and making you feel like really not good, really insecure about the relationship. And it also kind of feels like, is this some type of power game? Like, you could be feeling like really weird, because I just feel like there's a lot of pressure of like things that are not being said right here. Like, there's a lot of like unsaid stressful energy. Like, because when I get the Queen of Swords, like, I don't feel like we're being very upfront about what we need to be upfront about. Because yes, air signs are about communication, but the Queen of Swords, I always see it as I'm like, I'm going to keep my information to myself. I'm like, why would I say that? It's very Libra energy of like, I'm not going to rock the boat until like I must. But the Queen of Swords and the 10 of Wands is like holding on to this thing. It feels like there's like this like waited out game between you and the other person of like, who's going to bring up the elephant in the room? Who's going to bring up this weird energy? Who's going to bring up this like literal, emotional, maybe even physical disconnect? Those of you who are coming out of breakups, like, you could be like wishing like to communicate with somebody, but this person is just not trying to communicate in the same way, and they're coming across as cold, harsh. Like, it could also be ghosting you, ignoring you, whatever it might be. Like, it's just like you're not getting the communication you want out of the other party here. Yeah. And something like, we have to like reach a consensus here. We have to like communicate in some aspect. And I do feel like, oh my gosh, can we just get one at a time? The confusion, yeah. We're gonna figure this out. I would say around the Mercury Cazimi, you might have more communication and clarity on the situation. It could be that this is ending. It could have been something that you guys can work through. I'm not going to say it's either or, because I don't know your situation. It could be very specific, and it feels very specific, because like behind these cards are coming out positive and very positive, very negative. So I feel like it really depends on the situation. It really depends on what we can work with. And like, again, if this person is acting like this, like, I wouldn't want to get back together with them. I wouldn't want to work things out. I probably wouldn't want to even talk to them right now, because that's a very psychotic, kind of controlling, very negative energy. When you get the Emperor reverse, I just feel like there's somebody who needs control to feel safe and to feel secure, and they're willing to play games and, you know, manipulate the situation negatively to get there. But with the World, the Chariot, and the Seven of Cups reversed there, I just feel like this situation is going to come to a close, like, and come to a head here right around that Mercury Cazimi. And I think we're going to realize, like, are we on the same path? Are we not on the same path? And I think that that is a conversation that needs to be had, and that will determine whether, you know, do we have the same goals? Are we the same people? Can this still work? Or are we just too different? Do we have different goals now? Have things changed? And I think we got to be upfront and mature about that, and less emotional. And I do think, like, you guys can access that kind of energy there, with the Star upright being your ending card here. And with the ending card showing up again as your card, it's like you're going to be in a much better position than maybe you even thought you'd be in. Be a lot more stable, a lot more secure, and a lot more in the right mindset. Because again, the Star that's you, and it's also saying the universe is on your side. It's got you. There's a really beautiful healing energy here, so no matter what happens, you will heal through this, and you will be able to open yourself up to a lot more stable and new foundations. Okay, I mean, we saw that Ace of Pentacles. I know it has more to do with like life and career stuff, but like, I think you can apply that anywhere because it came up in your reading. Okay, so I think that's a really beautiful place for you guys to be in. Like, you'll be able to work your way through this. Don't be codependent. Don't get too comfortable with dealing with a situation, or, you know, being in a relationship and just having somebody around that you have them around, even though like they're not bringing you happiness, even though we're not communicating right, even though X, Y, and Z, all these other things. It's like, but I've been with them for this long, but I've done this, like, but we live together, but we share this. It's like, you can say that till the cows come home, but like eventually, like, those things like don't matter, and it will fall apart in a much worse way if you don't communicate about these things head on at this time. All right, so love and romance oracle cards for you guys. Aquarius. It's actually not bad. Okay, interesting. We have healing family issues and worth waiting for. So your love life benefits as you forgive your parents. Okay, yeah, I think, like, especially in terms of love relationships and stuff, we can get too focused on like what they wanted for us, what our family wants for us, like what that looks like to them, like what happiness, stability, security, a healthy relationship looks like to them, or what they want for us in that realm, rather than like what we want. And I think that's okay to really work and like figure those things out, and also recognize we could be using this relationship, but this relationship might have come into our lives to help us heal these family issues. They might remind us that we might tackle certain topics in a similar way. We might have certain things come up that we have to address that we wouldn't have been able to work through without this other person to help us work through these family issues. Again, worth waiting for also is here. Divine timing is at work in working your love life. So if you're afraid, like, oh my God, like, I'll never find somebody, or like, why does this have to happen? Why does this have to happen? It's like divine timing is putting you through something that you need to go through right now. Okay, like, you're gonna find the answers. Like, whatever it is that is like kind of plaguing this relationship and issue, you will figure this out. It will work out. You just have to, like, you gotta wait for it. Okay, divine timing is here, and you gotta take care of yourself and try to like learn how to communicate and learn the lessons that you need to from this situation while it's on its way. Okay, so. Let's get a Lindsay Andrews Oracle deck, power deck card here for you guys, and we're going to be done here with Aquarius. All right, Aquarius, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus. Oops, it's coming right out. Interesting that you have this card, Time. All right, what is time that has such power to challenge all that exists change all that exists back to dust? What is this unseen force like the wind that can shape the land in our lives? Learn to play with time. Time is surreal, like fish swimming in treetops. A person of power knows how to arrange time. Put on your watch and be aware of time at which you do everything. Watch the sun, the moon, and the transit of the stars. Find out that the Venus Find out the time that Venus is lowest in the sky before dawn. Be aware of your cycles, when you get hungry, when you sleep. Our society is obsessed with time, so now become time. If you're obsessed with something, it is better to explore it than deny it. Then it is possible to give up your obsession and let a concept like time take its proper place in your life. Your power depends on your use of time. Interesting. So take that how you will. I love these messages. I think they're very nice. They're very poignant. But yeah. All right, Aquarius, those are your messages. Make sure to follow me over on Twitch and check out the streams. It's really fun to connect with you guys like this. And do make sure to follow me here over